This is episode 157 of the Beyond the Food Show. And today I'm going to share with you how to make peace with food and your body. So if you're tired of fighting, want some help, stay tuned. My name is Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist. I reversed my diagnosis of anxiety, depression, adrenal fatigue, and obesity by going beyond the food. I can tell you one thing, that willpower, discipline, and deprivation aren't the permanent solution to transforming your relationship to food. So how do you leave overeating, emotional eating, food craving, and binging behind you so you have the food freedom to achieve all of your goal and be happy now? As a top 25 alternative health podcast in the world, this is the Beyond the Food Show. It's back, our annual online conference. The Going to Beyond the Food Project is a free online conference that will teach you how to make peace with food and your body. The Going to Beyond the Food Project is a 10-day event starting October 8, 2018. I brought together 22 world-renowned experts in the field of health, psychology, medical doctors, PhD, naturopathic doctor, all teaming up to help you transform your relationship to food, body, and health. The best thing, this conference is completely free. Starting October 8th, every 48 hours, you will receive access to 3 to 4 new talk, and you have 48 hours to watch it completely for free, take note, and absorb all the teaching. And again, completely free. It's my gift to you. The key to transformation lies within empowerment. That's what I have found in my years of working with women and teaching and helping transform their life. The Going to Beyond the Food Project is just that, empowerment, teaching you what you need to do to kickstart your own transformation. So if you are ready to step into your own empowerment, learn how to go beyond the food and transform your relationship to food and body, save your seat now. Head over to goingbeyondthefoodproject.com and give me your first name and your email, and you get access for free. I'll see you on the other side. Hey ladies, Stephanie Dodier, and today is a special episode. I'm going to reveal to you a very cool gift, something that will help you to make peace with food and your body. And something that, here's the thing, is totally free. Like, it's my gift to you. I do that once a year, and you can access it without any cost. So for those of you who have been sitting on the fence, if you remember my episode about the stages of change, so if you're in a state right now of kind of contemplating and you're saying, oh, I've been listening to this podcast for a couple of weeks now, maybe a couple of months, and like, yeah, it makes sense, but I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if it will work. This is the tool you're going to want to dig in, put your teeth in, because it's free. You have nothing to lose. So if you're afraid of spending money on you, learning new skills, you got to dig into this one. Now, my old listener knows probably where I'm going with this. This is our annual online conference that we do every single year. So every year we put on a free online conference in which we share a whole bunch of world experts that I've met throughout the past year on all my travels to the various conferences I spoke into, the various conferences that I attended to, the course that I've taken, and I bring all those people together in one event, and then I give you access to their knowledge for free. Isn't it cool? Totally free. So this event starts October the 8th, 2018. So if you're listening live to this, it's somewhere around the end of September. We're starting in less than 10 days. So you got to get yourself registered for that. And you can go to www.goingbeyondthefoodproject.com, and then that will land you to a place where you can give me your first name and your email, and then we save your seat. And on October 8th, we're going to start sending you for free all those talks. So I've got, myself included, 22 speakers that will talk to different topic, and we'll get into that in just a short moment, the different topic we're going to talk about. And you get those talks and you have them free access for 48 hours. So every 2 days, which is the difference from last year. Last year, we had the talk for free for 24 hours, but I had a lot of people reaching out to me saying, I don't have enough time to watch everything, right? So if that's you, you're going to get 48 hours to watch all the talks. So every 2 days, October 8th, October 10th, October 12th, every 2 days, you're going to get 4 talks from 4 different experts. And then you're going to have 48 hours to watch them. Isn't it cool? And we're going to get to the topic in just a moment, but here's what I want you to know. The outcome of this is for you to understand the going beyond the food concept. What does it mean to go beyond the food, and what can it bring for you? Because one of the things that I have found in working with the thousands of women that I've worked with in the last 8 years, all the feedback that I get from the listeners of the show throughout the world, the students in my online program, is that women think that suffering is necessary. And I thought that for years. I thought that up to the age of 38, that to get what I wanted, I needed to suffer. But the truth is, suffering is optional. As a matter of fact, suffering is causing us to get stuck. The suffering that we impose ourselves through our own self-judgment, our own criticism, our own restrictive behavior, our own physical punishment in some case, is actually causing us pain. And we know it's causing us pain because we think that the pain that those restriction, those self-judgment, criticizing thoughts is causing us is going to motivate us to take action, because as all normal human being, we don't want to be in pain, right? So we're thinking, if I cause myself suffering and pain, I'm going to get even more motivated to get out of pain. Therefore, I'm going to take action to get to my goal. The truth is, the suffering we impose ourselves is actually causing us to have our wheels stuck in the mud, to be 15, 20, 30, 40 years later and still feel like we're at the same place with the same problem, right? For all of you who have been stuck in cycles upon cycle of dieting and losing weight, and 3 years later going back on the diet because you've gained the weight, or shaming your body and not accepting your body, or binge eating or emotional eating, and you keep going back to the same place. And the further you go into the cycle, you think something is really wrong with you. And you have to impose yourself pain to motivate you to not have those behavior anymore. The truth is, the pain is what's causing you to get stuck, because that's not how the human being works. We don't operate and optimize our behavior from a place of pain. We optimize our behavior, our life, our body from a place of love. That's what, quote unquote, normal eater, normal weight, normal body, normal whatever, the people you're looking up to and want to become like them do. They do that from a place of love, not pain and fear. And I wrote a 2-part email to my coaching community. If you're part of my email distribution list, you've likely read that over the last couple of weeks. But bottom line, it's about choosing love instead of fear. And that's what the Going to Beyond the Food method is all about, is about learning what sit under the behavior we so dearly want to change. Whatever the behavior is at the top, for some of you, it's changing our eating behavior. For some of you, it's changing our movement behavior. For some of you, it's changing how we look at our body and the behavior we have towards our body. It's about not using pain as a motivator to change the behavior, but instead saying, let's go beyond the food. Let's go under the behavior and understand what's causing us to act like that. What's causing us to binge? What's causing us to shame ourselves? What's causing us to restrict? That is what's under the behavior. And that's what the Going to Beyond the Food method is all about. And the conference is about that. It's about helping you understand what sits under that behavior, your thoughts, your emotion, even chronic pain, for an example. One of the second most prevalent cause of overeating in my community is chronic pain. People eat in consequence of pain. There's no amount of willpower that will stop that behavior, because until we resolve the chronic pain, you will always want to use food to feel better because pain is painful, right? So the Going to Beyond the Food project is an online conference that will explain all of those elements to you by bringing in some of my friends, my collaborators, my mentor, my teacher to talk about all those reasons why we have those behavior. So what I wanted to do today is to share some of those topics with you, share some of the highlights of that conference to show you the wide variety of topics we'll talk about and topics that I teach about in the Going to Beyond the Food method, and open you up and open your mind to look beyond the food, to look at what is really sitting under the behavior, what feeds that behavior. And I'm going to start by one of my dearest friends, someone that was on the conference last year and that's coming back of this year. And some of you will likely know who she is because I have her on my podcast. I have her in my conferences. I travel with her. Her name is Shawn Miner. And Shawn is a nutritionist just like me, but I have pushed her out of her comfort zone inside of the conference. I have pushed her to talk about what we typically talk about when we're alone. Like when we're not on social media and we have a friend-to-friend conversation, she has a zone of genius that it's all about mindset that she normally doesn't talk about on social media. So I pushed her to share with us the power of positive thinking. And that's what her teaching to us is on the conference. It's about how we translate our thoughts into our action and noticing the thoughts that keep us stuck and how working with our mind can get us what we want. It's absolutely fascinating. So let's listen to a short extract of that conversation that will be offered to you on the Going to Beyond the Food project starting October 8, 2018.
Not happy with your body, right? It's all you think about. And so, of course, I'm keeping that from happening because I'm in this negative headspace. So not only that, but I was also keeping myself from gaining the health that I needed to gain in order for my body to get back to its happy place or to lose that inflammatory weight, because I wasn't getting healthy because I was so negative up here. It has to be this like full body experience, including your thoughts and including your brain, to get yourself to this place of health that I know everybody wants to get themselves to, right? So it has to be this full thing. So even that one piece where you're doing everything right, but you haven't changed those thoughts in your head and you're still obsessed in a negative headspace with changing your looks or whatever it may be. I mean, it could have nothing to do with that. Maybe you hate your job, or maybe you're in a bad relationship, or, things that are causing this truly negative place in your head. If you don't change that, then you're not ever going to get to the health that you want.
Our next speaker on the conference is someone that just came into my life. I say just, but it's been 3 months. I met her at a conference that I attend in California to grow myself, to become a better version of myself. And her name is Dr. Debbie Silber. And she absolutely floored me. She got on stage to talk about betrayal. And I was starstruck. That's really the word for it. She came out of nowhere and she was speaking my kind of language. And I asked her to come on the conference to share her wisdom with you. And she's going to talk about how our biggest crisis reveals our greatest gift and how to use the positive lesson and learning from betrayal, which is a reality for so many of us, and how in my world, betrayal leads to people using food to numb. But in her case, as a PhD in psychology, it's actually the igniting factor into self-discovery. And it can bring a whole slew of positive lessons for us. So let's listen to a short extract of our conversation between me and Dr. Debbie Silber.
That's what I'm talking about when I talk about transformation. And that's what could happen after betrayal.
It's a choice.
100%. And after conducting that study, I know with certainty we have every right to stay stuck. And my study was on how women experience betrayal, what holds them back and what helps them heal. I was transforming and I needed to know what was happening with other women. And I saw my husband transform too. And I said, what's going on here? And what makes us transform? And what are those obstacles that hold us back? And I remember going into this study saying, oh my gosh, how awesome would it be if there was a process and sort of a measuring of, here's where you are, hang on, sister, this step is coming. And sure enough, that's what was discovered.
I also brought back some of your most liked speaker from last year. So after our event last year, when we ended, I sent a short survey to all the 4,000 women who took part of the conference last year, and I asked them to rank the speaker. And this one was a top ranked speaker. Her name is Bridget Danner, and she is backed. And she is going to talk about her gem, which is toxicity, and how toxicity actually impacts our body and our choices and our emotion and everything we do in life, because we have to be real with ourselves. We live in a very toxic environment, and that has side effects on our life. And that's one of the steps that we need to take in our journey of going beyond the food. So looking forward to sharing Bridget again with you. And another old friend that's coming back from last year is actually a duo. Their name is Alex and Megan from Zesty Ginger. But their teaching has taken a new turn in 2018, and I absolutely love it. I'm fascinated by their new teaching topic, which is all about understanding our female cycle. And the reality is, in today's world, as women, we sometimes see our cycle as an inconvenience, where the truth is, forever up to recently, our cycle as women was a huge intuitive portion of our life. We use our cycle for thousands and thousands of years to guide us through choices in our life, right? So they're going to teach us how to get back in touch with our cycle and how to learn from it intuitively and how to take advantage of it in our day-to-day life. So let's listen to a short extract of our conversation between me, Alex, and Megan from Zesty Ginger. And that will be part of our 2018 Going Beyond the Food Project free online conference.
On the flip side, I think when people hear that and they're like, well, it's very unsatisfying to wait for the big picture, right? Like everyone's like, yeah, I want to be healthy, but seriously, I like need help now, right? And of course, in our culture, it's kind of understood that we try to get things as fast as possible. And I think what I found that is potentially even more satisfying than like having an answer that I had to wait for and having a big aha moment is that this made me get so much more in touch with what my body was doing that all of a sudden it wasn't like, oh, this last month have spotting or was my period or my cramps bad. It was more like, what are the good things or, not the things happening on a more minute level. Right? So I all of a sudden started noticing that my energy levels were better and my digestion got better and my anxiety was, taking less L-theanine, and all of those things all of a sudden became so much more readily apparent to me because you're going along the whole thing that like, yes, you want to have the big wins and that big picture and the 100 days are going to go by, but it's like you can either be miserable in those 100 days or you could actually enjoy your body and your life even though things aren't perfect.
Beautiful, right? So Dr. Heather Paulson is also back from last year with her new book, The 5 Layers of Healing. And I've met Heather 2.5 years ago, and we connected right away. And I call her my soul sister. You'll hear me say that many times in the academy because we both have the same background as far as education in our health knowledge, right? So she's a naturopathic doctor, trained in holistic approach to health, and I have the same background. So we kind of speak the same song, right? In my course, I talk about the 4 bodies, right? The 4 part of the human being. And in her journey, Heather, she treats cancer patients naturally. And what she has found in the last, I think, 10 years of her practice is that for her to be able to maximize her treatment with cancer patients, she has to go through 5 layers of healing. And it's relating very close to what I teach, which is the 4 body. So she's going to come and talk to us about that. I also have a new teacher. Someone that I look up to when it comes to my education. And when I put together an episode of the Going to Beyond the Food show and I bring to you a new topic that's controversial, one of the things that you likely notice is that I often sustain my statement with science, right? With studies, with research that is being done, a lot around neuroscience. And Dr. Linda Greghead is a PhD with a specialty in studying appetite. So I have linked to her work in my course of Going to Beyond the Food Academy, but also in some of my episodes of the podcast. So she's someone that I value a lot because of her work and her research. So I brought her on to the conference to talk about what she has observed when it comes to appetite. And we're going to talk about how to reclaim control over our eating by actually understanding our appetite. So let's listen to a short extract from Dr. Linda Greghead.
So the first thing I did was think a lot about hunger, watching myself, watching my children, talking to my clients, reading the literature. And I came up with what I think is a little different take on hunger, which is that I believe that hunger is not a thermostat. It does not tell you that your body needs food. What hunger is a biological hunt signal. It was evolutionarily developed to tell us that it's time to go hunting for food, because if you don't, you're going to end up, without enough to eat, because in our history, most of our forays for food were probably not successful. So it's time linked rather than weight linked. This is not telling you that your body desperately needs food. It's telling you it's been a while since you ate, and if you don't start thinking about it now, you may end up hungry later.
Fascinating work from those scholars. I just love their work. And we don't share them enough on public platforms. So it's my pleasure to have Dr. Greg Head with us. I also brought back another one of your top speaker from last year. Her name is Leanne Vogel, and Leanne is going to share her personal journey of breaking the restriction mindset. And if you're like me, you've been following Leanne for a number of years, you have seen her evolve in her own journey with food and her body through social media presence. And that's the conversation that we had this year, was about her own journey in breaking free from restriction. So I think this talk is going to touch the heart of many of you. I also have a gem that I'm going to bring to you for this year's conference, someone that I randomly, for whatever randomly means, met at a dinner gala at one of the event that I was attending. And, you know, those evenings, it's like black tie dress event, you're all grimmed up. And then there's those big round tables you go and sit at. And this event particularly did not have assigned seating. So you could just select where you want. So we walked in, actually, me and Sean, into this event, and we randomly selected this table, and I ended up sitting beside this guy. This guy is Matt Gesper. And we started talking, and his story just touched my heart because it's very close to mine, right? I recognize myself into his journey, and his teaching is all about turning inspiration into action. So I believe in the higher power of the universe, and I believe that nothing is random. I knew he was a gift into my life, and I wanted to bring his story and his work of happy living, that's his website, happy living, to you guys, and help you turn the little bit of inspiration you have into your life into motivation and action-taking moment. So let's listen into Matt's conversation between you and me.
What I discovered was, first of all, the reason you go to a conference and you get inspired and that inspiration doesn't survive is because the power of the inspiration is not as strong as the gravity that's holding your life in place. So what is gravity? It's different for everybody. It can be procrastination, self-doubt, expectations that you have of yourself. I was talking with the lady yesterday. I interviewed her, a mind sharer, and she has combined interior design with a deep study and practice of feng shui to the point that she can read blueprints and tell you about your life and what you need to do. She was supposed to be a doctor. Her parents, that was full expectation. So those expectations of others, expectations of culture, what you're supposed to do is nonsense, but it's real.
Beautiful, beautiful man. I can't wait for you to get to know Matt. I also want to share with you another soul sister of mine, someone that I also met at a conference. That's why we go to conference, professional conference. Her name is Holly Burton, and Holly has a story and a journey in what many women, unfortunately, will have to face in their lifetime, which is breast cancer. So she's a breast cancer survivor. That's how she calls herself. And she has made it her mission to share her journey with other women. She has this beautiful inspirational company called Pink Fortitude, and she is such a gift. She has, every time I've seen her and been with her, this beautiful, engaging, inspiring smile. And I think you're going to love her as much as I do. So I can't wait for you to listen to our talk that we had about breast cancer. Another gem that I met, quote unquote, randomly, going back to my hotel room at a conference. I was attending a conference and I was walking from one of the dinner events. It was late at night. I had my heels in my hand. My feet were hurting. And I ran into this, literally face to face into this woman, Dr. Casey Kane. And we just struck a conversation in the staircase for nearly an hour. And she introduced me to EBV, Epstein-Barr virus. And I'm like, what why am I having this conversation with her and why are we talking about EBV? And I was shocked to learn that her research, her study that she has done in her own practice and the books she wrote led to the conclusion that EBV is a very common virus that many of us have and is the starting point into our autoimmune struggle. So if you are someone that have an autoimmune condition, things such as Hashimoto, things such as rheumatoid arthritis, and hundreds of other conditions that are rooted into your immune system, you're going to want to listen to her. This message is currently not being shared on most platforms that talk about autoimmune condition because these conclusions to her work are so new that people don't talk about it. So if that's someone in your life, if that is you, I want to force you, if that's you, if you have an autoimmune condition, I want you to listen to her. If you're only coming into this event for one, come in for Dr. Cassia Kane, and she's going to blow your mind with regards to EBV and its role in autoimmune conditions. So let's listen to a short extract of Dr. Cassia Kane.
A couple of decades ago, there was this thing called celiac. Nobody really knew about it. Doctors didn't know about it. And then there was this avalanche of education. Wow, we have the celiac problem. Everybody knows what celiac word is now, right? Gluten problem. And then there was the Hashimoto's, big epidemic in women. Probably many women listening have thyroid problem, right? It's 95% of low thyroid is actually driven by Hashimoto's, right? Big umbrella. So now we have this education spreading and people know it. And then there was SIBO. And now it's Epstein-Barr. So one way or the other, your viewers will bump into this word somewhere if they haven't yet. So what is it? It's even a bigger umbrella. So I'll give you a glimpse. For women, it's very relevant. If you have Hashimoto's, already you know it. Big chance is that what actually drives your Hashimoto's is Epstein-Barr virus.
Our next speaker that I want to share with you is someone that is a mentor to me. Her name is Irene Lyon. I first interviewed her in 2016 and she shook my world. She shook my world into helping me wrap my head around trauma and its impact into my own life. And I continued my journey with her. And in 2018, I took her course called Smart Body, Smart Mind. And it was life-changing for me in my personal journey with my relationship to trauma, but it also allowed me to integrate a brand new chapter inside of the Beyond the Food Academy that has changed the life of many of my students of understanding trauma. So she's going to come to us in this event in the Going to Beyond the Food Project 2018 and talk to us about the impact of trauma and shame on our health. You'll want to listen into that. The next speaker that I want to share with you today is someone that I met in Spain. I was speaking at an event. She was another speaker, and I got fascinated by the title of her talk, Are You a Food Addict? And I have my own opinion around food addiction, people. You've heard me talk about that, right? And I, as a good student, as a good teacher, I wanted to see the other side of the coin, right? So I sat and listened to her and I ate every word she was saying. So I invited her on the conference. She is a Swedish registered nurse who has spent her entire professional career healing herself from addiction and then creating programs, evaluation tools to be used in clinical setting to assess food addiction. Her name is Bitten Johnson. You may have heard of her, but most of you, she's going to be brand new. And I put myself through her entire process of assessment. So she's doing a research right now in the study on her assessment tool, and I put myself through the assessment. I'm going to be sharing the entire assessment on a Facebook Live, a kind of a webinar we're going to do together, and I'll announce that here on the podcast. But you will see my results of being an addict or not. I'm going to keep that secret until we do the webinar. And what she has to say about it. So if you think you're struggling with food addiction, sugar addiction, you're going to want to tune in to Bitten Johnson's talk. So let's listen to a short extract of her.
Why did I end up with the diagnosed addiction? People ask me. And I said, well, it's a combination of genetics, environment, and the stuff. You can't be an alcoholic unless you drink. Okay, so it has to be something that triggers this. What happens before and during that, parallel, is things we know very little about. The bonding part, when you're a kid, or, the stressors in your family and all that. That's into the environment part. But you cannot take a person and say, well, in your case, 70% is genes and the rest is environment, or the opposite. In your part, 80% was the environment, dysfunctional family or stressful childhood, and then only 20% is genetics. We can never go there because there is no way to measure that. So we have to sort of say, well, I was a sensitive person and this happened to me. And because once you have an addiction, which means once your reward system is rebuilt from a psychoactive drug, you can't go back. You can never be unaddicted. And that's something that we've seen, in hundreds and thousands of cases.
I'm also bringing back someone that has been on the podcast now 3 times. Her name is Carolyn Ross. She's an MD, a medical doctor, and has an integrative medicine background that focuses her professional career on eating disorder, particularly around binge eating. So she's been on the podcast 3 times now talking about binge eating. So if you have been researching through either my blog, my website, you've probably heard of her if binge eating is your thing. And what we're talking about this year is the trend and controversy in treating binge eating and compulsive eating, particularly around a trend that I have observed in my own clinical practice, because I still work one-on-one with patients virtually, is the use of medication in treating binge eating. And I have my own personal opinion on that. So as a professional, we always want to look at both sides of the coin. So I brought her on and we had a conversation about the use of medication in binge eating. So if compulsive eating, overeating, and binge eating is your thing that you're looking for help with, you're going to want to listen to this talk. And then last one I want to bring you, we're done. We're almost done. So the last one I want to bring you is another quote unquote random person that I sat beside at a pool party. So I went to an event. There was a pool party at the end of the event and there was a barbecue dinner. So walked into there, grabbed my food, and then randomly sat beside this guy. We introduced ourselves and then we asked each other, what do you do and how do you help people? And then Brandon Lundberg is his name, started to tell me about his work with chronic pain and his own journey with chronic pain and how he treats people with chronic pain. And then I started to get all kinds of firework in my head because I surveyed my community last year, a year ago, and I asked, what is the cause of your overeating or emotional eating? And the number 2 cause that you guys told me is chronic pain. You recognize and fully acknowledge the fact that you're overeating, emotionally eating in response to chronic pain as a way of making you feel better. So willpower is not going to help with that. I mean, it's going to help for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, but truth of the matter is until you get to healing the chronic pain, which for many of you, you're thinking like, it's chronic pain, Stephanie, we can't heal it. Well, Brandon's going to tell you otherwise. That's why I had the firework in my head, because what he's going to present to you with as far as what is chronic pain and how they address it within their medical clinic, it's all based on research of his associate, a medical doctor, is mind-blowing. It's understanding what neuroscience, you heard me talk about neuroscience, the science of the brain and nervous system, has evolved over the last 20 years and how it impacts the way we engage with chronic pain. And, hear me out, the potential treatment that can erase, remove chronic pain from your life. So if you or someone in your life suffers from all and any kinds of chronic pain, you're going to want to tune in to Brendan's talk, who is humoristically titled, "What Do Credit Card Debt, Your Mother-in-Law, and Chronic Pain Have in Common?" He has a great sense of humor. So it's going to change your perspective and open up some possibility of how to deal with chronic pain. So let's listen to a short extract from Brendan.
Pain works the same way. Our nervous system has a primary job to keep us alive. So that means A, keeping us vertical, keeping us upright so that we can move in our environment, we can avoid danger, and we can stay functioning. So the nervous system's hierarchy of priorities is first our vision system. It needs to be able to see our landscape and see what's going on. Second is our vestibular or our balance system, which is located in our organs of our inner ear, keeping us upright. And then third is what's called proprioception. So it's all of our sensory systems, touch, feel, all those senses. So it's always working. It's always on. It's always taking a recording or an account of what's happening in our environment. And it's recording everything that it perceives as a threat. So you can think of each of those threats in our nervous system as a charge to a credit card. Okay. And again, if we're healthy and we're living fine, everything is working like it's supposed to be doing. But because of genetics, maybe somebody has a lower threat limit, or because of their lifestyle, they have a lower threat limit, or inexplicable reasons that we don't yet know about the brain. But for whatever reason, if somebody's operating with a level of debt and then there's some sort of an event, and again, these threats aren't just physical traumas or injuries, they are emotional, they are based from childhood on. It's an accumulation of many multiple factors that are probably beyond full comprehension. But for whatever reason, there now comes an event, and it could be an injury, it could be a disease or some sort of trauma, or it could be just a heightened emotional and stressful situation at home, at work, whatever, with a loved one. It almost doesn't matter. But if our nervous system says, okay, we're now at the limit of what our threat debt can handle, it switches. And now even sensory input of normal function or touch or movement is perceived as potential threat, because the nervous system is trying to get our attention to say, hey, we need to figure this out. Otherwise, we're not going to keep functioning at this high debt limit anymore. And so the manifestation becomes pain.
And we've got so many more. I mean, I could share 22 extract, but this episode will go on forever. But let's just say that we also have Dr. Joanne Rosenberg, which is a mentor of mine, who's going to talk about emotional mastery. Trisha Nelson's going to talk about how to heal our hunger. Rosa Rago, which is one of my personal healer that has worked with me long time ago. She's going to teach us about the power of self-love. Dr. Rana Epstein, which is a renowned author. She's going to talk about overcoming the power of food. Chris Barjal, which is a ND naturopathic doctor, is going to talk to us about moving beyond the label. Valencia Porter, which is an MD that has worked for years at the Chopra Center, directly under Deepak Chopra, is going to talk to us about what's eating us and resilience, which is a skill we need to transform our relationship to food and make peace with our body. And finally, a friend of mine from a mastermind I belong to, Katia Garci, is going to wrap us up, one of the last talk, in talking about intuitive eating, which is all that we're aiming for. So that's the Going to Beyond the Food Project 2018. You got to register yourself. You can go to the www.goingbeyondthefoodproject.com, register there, or you can come to my website as well, stephaniedozzi.com/project, and register. And starting October 8th, every 2 days, you're going to get 4 of those talks to watch for completely free. For those of you who have schedule issue that can't watch live or want to keep those thoughts, because we're getting some of those requests, there's an upgraded package that'll be available when you register for $67, where you'll be able to have access to a membership site that will have the 22 videos, 22 audios, all the extra bonus from our speaker available for you for a lifetime. So that's going to be a package that's called the upgraded package for $67. And that pricing will be available until October 8th. when we start the conference, I have to be upfront with you, the price will go up to $97. So if you have an interest in owning the video, the talks, the bonus from the speaker, you're going to want to purchase the upgraded package as you register. Otherwise, the price will go up during the event. So that was my gift to you, ladies. I have one ask from you. So if you're still listening right now, I hope you are. I'm giving all of this for you for free. I spent thousands of dollars putting up the website, getting my team to work on that. I spent probably well over 100 hours of my time putting all of this together for you, filming the interview, having conversation with the speaker, traveling the world to get those people. What I want from you is that you share this event with people, with other women. And you hear me repeatedly tell you that the Going to Beyond the Food is a movement. We're going up against the Weight Watchers and the weight loss industry and the fitness industry that keep telling us that we need to be thin, that we can't be happy until we're thin, that we have to restrict, that we have to count our calories, that we have to suffer. We're going up an industry that makes money out of our suffering. The Going to Beyond the Food method, the Going to Beyond the Food project is the opposite way of looking at our journey in our relationship to food with the body. So we are controversial. I don't have the budget to fight against the weight loss in the fitness industry. So we have to adopt a grassroots movement, which means us, the listener, me, the teacher, have to bring this message out to people. We can't rely on the big marketing industry to do that. So I'm asking you to share it. To share it, when you register, you'll see on the registration page, share button, right? Share it to Facebook, share it to Pinterest, share it to Twitter, whatever your social media platform is. If you're not on social media, share it on email, right? Copy and paste the link and send it to your girlfriend, to your sister, to your daughter. Share this message to other women who need to hear it. Otherwise, they'll never hear it. I didn't hear about it from reading a magazine or TV or even at school. Even a holistic nutrition school, that wasn't talked about. So imagine someone that is not connected in the natural health industry, like most of you listening. If you don't share this, the message will not go out. So that's my only ask. I'm putting all of this together for you. I am asking you to support me in sharing this conference and bringing more women to listen. And for those of you who are financially capable, one way to help is to purchase the Going to Beyond the Food upgraded package. And at least I can make up my costs of production with you supporting the event with the package. So that's my ask for you. Beyond that, I know that I will see a vast majority of you listening right now on the other side, inside of the online conference. And I can't wait to share that with you. I love you. I look forward to see you on the next episode. I have created an audio training entitled How to Change Any Eating Habit, specifically the one that is sabotaging you. 3 strategies to create the consistency and confidence you need to change your eating habit without willpower or discipline. I did this in order to help women like yourself engage with food in a completely different perspective so that they stop craving, overeating, binging, and using food to feel better. You can put an end to the cycle of frustration, the all or nothing mindset, and shame towards your own body and become a motivated, consistent, focused, and self-loving version of yourself. This free audio training is about the why we eat, how we eat, so that the what we eat can be easy, effortless, and pleasurable. So if you are ready to step into the new version of yourself so that you can change how you interact with food, head over to stephaniedodier.com/training right now.